Welcome to another episode of Ministry Matters That Matter. We continue our interviews here at Exposure Youth Camp, and I've got Matt Miller with me, who will actually be speaking in about an hour. So
Do it.
thank you for taking the time to
Absolutely.
stop and talk to us. We've run into each other several times, I guess, over the years. You've spoken at Heritage, and also I know you're working with the Congregation 109 there in Lebanon. And I know they're excited to have you here. You're just one of my favorite people to hear speak. I'm excited about tonight.
Appreciate it.
And I've loved the times you've gotten, we've got to have you on our campus. So first of all, tell me what you're doing in ministry now. Let's just start with that.
So we got, I co-minister with Wayne Miller. It's a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, managing Wayne, yes.
Yeah. But after that, I'm mainly, a lot of the things that I do, one thing that I got going really heavy right now is mentoring in the schools.
Okay.
I do some mentoring in elementary school and the middle school and the alternative school in Lebanon, and I'm hoping to grow that. But that's become something really, strong and heavy. So my Wednesday is filled with that.
That's awesome.
Also, I deal a lot in, helping those in recovery. I'm a recovering addict myself, so it's near and dear to my heart. As well as, one thing that's been pretty cool for me is with Wayne, we're able to kind of talk out what we, want to talk about.
Yes.
Where before me being by myself, I'm having to think it up or talk to some guys or go with a group and think it out. But we're actually
getting a team approach.
Oh man, and it's incredible. I really do love that.
So Wayne's one of the best I've seen at connecting to people.
Yes.
He has just a given.
Yeah.
Heaven knows.
He's a natural.
I don't know how many names he has.
Exactly.
Some people can quote the Bible. Some people know the name of every person.
I'm like, do you know? Oh yeah, I know. Cousin, granddad. He can make all the connections immediately. Yeah. I'm like, I just wanted the name. Like
Chuck Morris are at the top of my list.
Chuck Morris is the same. They are absolutely.
All right, so let me just touch on one thing. One of the things that I appreciate is I'm on your encouragement list. So you send out text to a lot of folks. Talk to me about that. How did that get started? So you send these notes. Usually there's a text involved in it from the Bible, but how did that happen?
Okay, 2012, I started as the youth minister at Fountainhead Church of Christ in Portland. I had 8 kids in my youth group, and I was trying to figure out a way to connect. So I started with those 8. I said, I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to tell them what I was praying for, and then I'm going to send them a Bible verse connected with it. So I sent that to them every day. And then I was like, well, I'm going to add the elders. Yeah. So I got all the elders' number, started adding them. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to add the deacons, added the deacons. And then I just started asking members, hey, I'm praying on a specific day for you guys. If you'd like to be a part of it, it's good for me. It helps me out. So I started it. Fast forward from 2012 till now, I've got over 1,500 that I text.
You went from 8 to 1,500.
Dude, it is unbelievable. The stories in that ministry in itself, it is unbelievable. I mean, and what's come out of that is several guys have created their own. And they send it back to me in their own way. And some of it's better than what I got. It's like, man, I'm trying to take their material. Like I'm using that today.
Yeah. Well, that's just awesome. Well, it's an encouragement to me.
Well, I appreciate it, brother.
All right. So can you give us a Cliff Notes verse? Tell us your story. How did you find Jesus?
I was an athlete, all my life. Very good athlete, top-notch athlete. I don't know what star I'd be, but I'd be above a 3. And I'm just saying that in all humility. Had the ability to play elite, but the problem was I ran in the wrong circle with that. I could do all the things very easy, and I got caught up in a lot of mess. And early on. 8th grade is when it started. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I lived in California till I was a sophomore in high school. And then I moved to Tennessee. I went to Hendersonville High School, graduated there. Ended up, got a full scholarship to MTSU. Played quarterback, but was ineligible the first year because I failed my drug test. And just, you know, I had high hopes. I had high dreams. I had high ability. A lot of people put their trust in me, spent a lot of time to try to help me. And, I started creating, I got it. I can figure it out. I'm not really worried about, anything that you guys tell me. If that pride was just growing inside of me, and you fast forward just a little bit more, I end up getting a girl pregnant, and I quit playing ball, just left, and I figured I'm gonna have to take care of my kid, and I started working at a printing company in Portland, Tennessee, um, and it continued to spiral. My life just continued a lot of bad habits that I had created early on, selling drugs, drinking alcohol, very much alcoholic. I am 15 years, man, sober. And so I'm thankful for that. And some of my ministry that I try to pour back into, especially individuals that are struggling, is I know that world and I know that struggle. But for me, it just finally, after me trying to fix it and fix it and fix it, I just kept hitting rock bottom. And I was at my house. I was with a girl. I worked night shift. I came home in the morning and all my stuff was gone. This is always a monumental moment for me. It's kind of that change of attitude, because I wouldn't say I was rock bottom, but boy, I was there. And from that point, that was the first time that I really was like, I don't know what it looks like. I know who you are, God, but I need some help and I don't know what to do. And so I think about Cornelius, and I think about, the vision and the angel talking to him and saying, God has seen you, what you're doing, and now you need to go and see Peter, and he gonna get you straight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was the same deal. God started providentially working around me and providing opportunities for me to, make the move that I need to make. And, the guy that was mowing my grass was an elder at Fountainhead. The girl that I started talking to was my wife, and she went to Fountainhead. All of these connections were church oriented. And all of a sudden I found myself like, what's happening? And, it kind of brought me to that moment where I didn't necessarily see it at first, but then I was like, I see what you're doing, Lord. And from that is a very cliff note. But I mean, I obeyed the gospel in 2010 and I ain't looked back. Like I recognize what I've been redeemed from. Very much, and I wouldn't put myself even close to the category of this guy, but very much like Paul. Like I remember going to work. I mean, I used to sell pills to almost all the people at work. I mean, it's all the time. Like I was doing and shaking and moving and doing things that nobody else knew about. And I remember going in there specifically and putting my Bible on my desk, and they said to me, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "The game has changed, bro. Like no longer am I living the way that I've been living. I'm gonna live for Jesus now." And it was like, really, very much like not scared of me like the early Christians were of Paul, but it was that same idea. Like, I don't believe you. Like this is a joke.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. So how is that, because we've talked about this some and I've seen this in you, how has that become a channel or a conduit through which you can minister to others?
For me personally, me recognizing the power of the gospel and the way that it has changed me, and it's authentic. Like there ain't no fake. I mean, people can say whatever they want about me. They can say it doesn't matter to me at all. I'm authentic as can be. There's no show in me. I've won all the trophies. I've been the most popular. I've been all of those things, and none of those things they don't influence me or drive me or motivate me. The one thing that I recognized was I was at the very bottom of my life. I mean, not to the point where I'd probably take my life, but I wasn't far from it. And to be at that point and to be where I'm at right now with what I'm about to do, only God could do that. And so when I talk to these people, like I got a couple guys that are struggling, and man, I'm trying to motivate them to see, like, if I can do it, you can, and I'm like, I know that's cliche to say that, but I'm trying to tell you straight up, like, if I could do it, you could do it. But you got to be willing. You got to be willing to take the step to say, I think, my desire is to truly discipleship people. It's truly to say, okay, you've obeyed the gospel, but that's not it. Like, we talk about it in the church a lot. It's like, well, we baptize them. How come we don't have a new converts class? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I got sick of hearing that because we talk about it, beat around the bush about it and say we're going to have one, try it, it's terrible. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to start discipling people. And if I can get several of them that are willing to disciple with me, then we can start discipling new Christians and make them who they need to be. So it drives me and motivates me. I've talked about this before, and this is like, I love this. When you can find yourself excited for somebody who you've mentored or you're helping, and they begin to be exalted by the hand of God, and you can be happy for them and not jealous, bro, you own the way. And for me, I'm like, I had one buddy, he spoke at a couple things and he's done a really good job. And I was standing right there with him, and boy, they was just bragging on him, this good job, great job. And he kind of kept his head down, and I was like, you all right, man? Like, they loving on you, brother. I said, I know, we talked about not being, being conceited and all that stuff. He's like, well, I didn't really want to, you're standing right here. And I'm like, bro, like, I do feel like, Paul, you're my crowning joy, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I feel so happy and I'm so emotional just seeing you succeed in what God's trying to do for you.
That's awesome.
So,
I think one of the mistakes we make is we act like the baptismal pool is the finish line instead of
every time.
And, I think about my dad. My dad's one of the most evangelistic people I've ever met. And what he has done for years is, Dad's not a preacher. He preaches, but he didn't have a degree in preaching. He's an engineer.
Right.
Stuff. But when he does study, if he baptizes you tomorrow, you're going to meet at the same time for your study next week.
That's right.
And it may go on for a year or 2 years or 3 years.
That's right.
And so I think that's one of my mistakes. We stop
we just stop
study once they get into Christ and never disciple them and mentor them.
Yep.
And I just want to say this will make you feel uncomfortable. My wife got to hear you this last year because I'd heard you a few times. She got to hear it the first time. She just raved about it.
Oh, man.
One of the things that she really appreciated was the being real.
Yeah.
People can, I think that's one of the reasons you connect to young people. I think young people can see a fake a mile away.
Yeah.
And I have found that if you can be real, and they feel that from you. So I just want to thank you.
I appreciate it, bro. Man, I love you. Appreciate what you're doing. Yeah.
All right. I know you got to get in there. All right. So,
time, boy.
So for those out there in ministry, I would like you to think about if you've got a tip for them, or maybe if it's even, I couldn't help but think as you're talking about guys you're trying to help make a decision.
Yeah.
Who are trying to, they know what they need to do. Okay. So you can think about, I know I've got this addiction. I know I've got this problem. I know I need to change, but making the change is hard. Mm-hmm. And there's some guys that are involved in this, that share in this study, that are like, I'm talking to somebody right now. What do I say? What do I do? How can I help them? So do you have just anything related to that, or just ministry in general that you've learned or experienced, or maybe even somebody did with you that you think would be helpful to them?
The one thing that I'm really trying to do right now is 2 Corinthians 10. 4-5, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. And so what I tried to do with all my guys, And even I try to get it so they do it back to me. And so we have kind of this, they're holding me accountable like I'm holding them accountable. But it's like, how was your week? But I think that the one thing that if I would say, if you guys are dealing with these types of struggles, for somebody to take that next step, then first of all, when you pray to the Lord, you pray very specifically that they will not try to hide what they are struggling with, but put it out where it's in the open and then start dealing with it. Because what I found out is people say that they're trying to deal with it, and this can go deep, man. I'm very much passionate on this and have seen victory in this. I got two ladies right now that are doing some of the things that I've been trying to talk about with them, and they are killing it. I mean, absolutely. I mean, phenomenal. Moving out of anxiety, moving out of these struggles and addictions. And it's just because, and one of the things, and I give God glory for this, is I'm like, Lord, help me specifically for whatever that situation is. And I think that, not that we pray those general prayers, and I'm not saying those are wrong, but I'm saying being very specific on, all right, Lord, in this moment, help me with blah, 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 whatever the situation is. And then allowing them to 2 Corinthians 10, bring the thought into captivity and allow that free roam in your head instead of letting the strongholds build up. And what it does is it allows them to accept that they do have that problem, instead of just saying, won't you quit? I can't believe you can't stop. But it's allowing them to have that. So I think, and this could go down, this is kind of my passion right here, where, but I think that if you're trying to help somebody in addiction, 2 Corinthians chapter 10, that whole area right there at the beginning is something that's incredible, to allow you to be able to talk through with them and allow them to not only admit the problem, but also be able to deal with it. Because, I mean, Paul says you punish that thought. You beat it into subjection by obeying Jesus Christ. Man, that'll preach, boy.
Yeah, that's I'm developing a sermon in my head as we talk.
Preach,
I'm
boy.
a big Sister Hazel fan.
Okay.
And my favorite song of theirs is called "Change Your Mind."
Oh, man.
The chorus says, "If you want to be somebody else, if you're tired of fighting battles with yourself, change your mind."
Change your mind.
And so, if you change how you think, you
Right.
change how you act.
That's right.
Everything. So, God bless you, brother.
Brother, I
Can't
love
wait
you.
to hear you in a few moments. I love you, and we love you. Thank you for what
Yeah,
you're doing in
appreciate it.
ministry. Remember that ministry matters because our master matters.
That's right.